Hello and welcome to this video on how to make this fabulous paper Christingle. Isn't that great? To make this you're going to need some circles, and I've got them printed out here with the names of Jesus on them. I'll talk about those later, and I've got them on orange paper, although you could do it on white paper and colour them in orange. And you can have a version that uses 8 of these circles. This one uses 8, or for a simpler one you can just use 4 circles, or if you want to get really fancy you can use 12. So we have our circles on orange paper. We also need some white paper, 4 cocktail sticks here, of course, glue and scissors, some coloured pens, and then a birthday cake candle. Now I couldn't actually find a gold one, so this is a blue one coloured in gold. I've also trimmed down a little bit of the wax so that we've got a lot of wick showing there, so you need quite a bit of wick standing there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start off by choosing some of these circles. You need 4, 8 or 12. Now I'm going to make it with 8 to show you how it goes, but I'm also going to speed it up slightly because I have actually started already. That's because there's probably a whole family of you doing this and there's only one of me. So first thing we need to do is to colour in that stripe in red. You can either use a red pen or you can use red paper and put a strip of red paper over there. So we're going to colour in the stripes red of however many of these you like to do. You can choose 4 of them, 8 of them, or 12. Okay, so once you've got them coloured in red, we're going to cut them out. Now there's all kinds of different ones you can choose. One of the sheets has got names of Jesus from that very famous passage in Isaiah that's often read out at Christmas, where Jesus is called the mighty God, wonderful counselor, Prince of Peace, and all those lovely names. Another one of the sheets, I think it's this one here, shows the names of Jesus that he called himself in the Gospel of John: the light of the world, the resurrection, the way, the truth and the life. So there's some great names there. I'm choosing this sheet here, which has got names of Jesus from the Gospels, so I'm just cutting out Son of David here, which is one of his descriptions in Luke, and then we've got a whole load of others. So if you want to do this without using these printouts, it's very easy. You just need to cut out a set of circles and you can decorate them however you like. If you want to make it look like a Christingle, you'll need it in orange with a red stripe across the middle, but you can make it just as a Christmas bauble to hang on your tree. In that case you can do all kinds of different colours, whatever you like. Maybe little gold and silver metallic pens would be nice. I think it's really nice to have the names of Jesus on here because it reminds us of just quite why we're celebrating Christmas. Now, of course, we're making a Christingle here. If you're not familiar with what a Christingle is, it's that thing that's made from an orange with little sticks stuck in it and a candle in the top. And they all have symbolism. They all mean something that tells us the story of Christmas, of why Christmas happened. It starts off, of course, with the orange in the middle. And as well as being nice to eat, and I always like eating my Christingle afterwards, the orange is round like the world. So that represents the earth that we all live on and all the people who live here. And round the middle of the Christingle is this red ribbon, or sometimes it's sticky tape, sometimes it's a ribbon. And both of those are helpful because a ribbon is like a present and it reminds us the earth is God's gift to us. But sometimes we use sticky tape, and that's quite a good symbol as well, because we use sticky tape when things are broken and need mending. And that reminds us that although God made the world perfect and beautiful and absolutely good, that we humans, to be honest, we're not perfect and absolutely good. We mess up, we get things wrong, and we've spoilt God's lovely world, and it needs fixing. We often say also that the ribbon's red because that reminds us that sin is described in the Bible as being red like a marker pen that won't wash out. But it's also red like Jesus' blood, which is the only thing that can fix it all. I've just realised I've cut out 9 here. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I don't need 9, do I? Which one shall I not have? Oh, I like the alphabet. I think I'll have those there. Okay, so I've got my 8 here. You may have 4, that's fine, or say 12, but you might want to take a little longer to do that. The next thing we're going to do is fold them in half down that dotty line in the middle. Now, we're going to make our orange in 4 quarters. So if you're using 4 circles, that's easy, it's 1 circle per quarter. But I've got 8 circles here, so I'm going to have to join them in pairs to make my 4 quarters. If you're doing it with 12 sections, you'll need to join them in groups of 3 to make your 4 quarters. And then each quarter is going to hold one of our little spikes up there. So we're folding them all in half along that dotted line. And the next thing we're going to make are the 4 spiky things that go on there. Now, traditionally, they were always filled with fruit, but these days, to be honest, most of us use Haribo or some other kind of sweets, dolly mixture or something. So let's have a talk about those while we make them. For this, you're going to need your white piece of paper. Fold it in half for the first thing, because we need everything to be double-sided. So we're going to make some sweets, and I'm going to draw a sweet on here. You can draw fruit if you want to be healthy. I'm drawing a sweet. Okay, so I'm going to draw that and then colour it in. Lovely. And like I say, if you've got a whole family group doing this, you can all do sweets each, so you can kind of multitask this. Whereas I'm only me doing this. There we go. So you'll need 4 of these. I'm just doing 1 because I've actually done a few earlier, like I say, because there's probably several of you doing this. There's only 1 of me. Okay, so there's my lovely sweet. And then I'm going to cut that out through both layers. Okay. And that way we'll get 2 versions of it. At the moment one's coloured in and one isn't. But we'll fix that shortly. So these sweeties represent all the good things that God gives us. The Bible tells us God loves to give good gifts to his children. And so we use sweets to represent that. Now once you've coloured in one side and then you've cut it out, you'll have a double version. So there it is, there's one side and then there's the other. So I'm going to colour in the other side to match the front. So we have them in pairs, matching pairs. Okay. You don't have to do it the same colour both sides, I'm going to, but you don't have to. So I've got a bluey-greeny sweet here, and then I've got some that I did earlier. Well, I did part of them, I'm going to have to finish them off. That's lovely. Not the most brilliant colouring in the world, is it? Never mind. Right. So there's my bluey-greeny sweet, and then here's one I made earlier on this. So you can just do some colouring. I will do some colouring along with you. So we have sweeties here that represent all the good things that God loves to give to us. Not just sweets, of course, there's lots of other things that are good as well. And we have 4 of them because that can help us to think about the 4 directions, north, south, east and west. So that means God's love covers everywhere, all over the world. It's not just for people in certain countries, it's for everybody everywhere. It also helps us to think about the 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn and winter. So that reminds us that God's love covers all time as well. So not just every place, not just everywhere, but every when. So that's why we have 4 of these on here, to remind us that God's love stretches over every time and every place. There. do you like to have on your sticks for your Christingles? Do you like to have fruit? Raisins work quite well actually, raisins and sultanas. They work quite nicely. Or do you like to have sweeties? I know I like sweeties, of course. It's fun to have some sweeties at Christmas. There, that's my last one doing now. So that's 4 sweeties to go on our 4 stalks. Just about finished. Great. Okay, so now we're going to put them on our cocktail sticks. So for that we're going to need the glue. And we're going to glue them in pairs, making a sandwich with the cocktail stick. So there's plenty of glue on there. And then we put a cocktail stick on top of it. And plenty of glue on the other side. And we're going to squish them together. There we go. Oops. Squish. There we go. There's my first sweetie with a cocktail stick in it. Okay, so we're going to do that 3 more times. Oops. Lovely, that's 2. Oops. Squish, squish. Lovely. Mine don't match up very well, do they? That's okay, because to be honest, life is like that. It doesn't always match up quite well, does it? There we go. So that's my 4th one. There, that's 4 sweeties made. Lovely. Right, now we need to do the same kind of thing for a flame as well. So back to our double paper, our folded over paper, and this time we're going to draw a flame shape. Okay, and I'm going to colour that in shades of red and orange and yellow. And this is going to go on the candle. And this is probably the most important part of the Christingle. So we've drawn it on one side, and then we're going to cut it out through the double layer of paper so that we get 2 that match. And then we'll colour in the other side, same as we did for the sweeties. Okay, so there's my flame, and there's the other one. I'll try and make it kind of match. So why do we have a candle on top of a Christingle? This is probably the most important part, because the rest of the Christingle talks about the world and how it's gone wrong because we humans mess up. We all of us mess up all the time. But that God has a solution. God had a plan from before the beginning of time, and that plan was called the light of the world, Jesus. So the candle represents Jesus, the light of the world. God's plan to put everything back right again. So when you've got your candles, we're going to put plenty of glue on both sides of them, and then we get our little candle there. It's quite tricky and fiddly, this bit, because we've got to stick it either side of the wick. Okay, so putting one on top. Squish. This is why you need quite a long wick. I haven't really got that in very well. There we go, that's better. Okay, and there we go. There is a candle with its lovely flame, representing Jesus, the light of the world. Right, now it's time to assemble our Christingle. So we need our quarters. Now mine are actually in eighths at the moment, so I'm going to stick them in pairs to make quarters. So I'm going to get one of my circles. Now if you're just using 4 circles, you can miss out this stage because your 4 circles are already in quarters. But I'm going to have to stick mine together in pairs. So I'm sticking 2 together like that, and then that makes a quarter of a circle. Yep. If you've got 12 of these circles, then you're going to have to stick them together in groups of 3 to make your quarters. So that's 2 quarters done. So for a simple one, you're just using 4 circles and you don't do this stage. If you're doing 8 circles, you stick them in pairs, and if you've got 12 circles, you stick them into groups of 3, and that each one makes a quarter of your sphere. Making sure I've got them the right way up, of course. There we go. Lovely. So there's my quarters. Okay. Now we're going to stick 2 quarters together and 2 quarters together to make halves. So we'll start off by putting loads of glue on there. And lots of glue on this one. So these ones are going to stick together to make a half, but before I stick them, we're going to put one of our little fruity things in there. So put it pointing upwards towards the top, and then squish the other one on top of it. Lovely, great. So there's my half. There's my half circle there, my half sphere. Lovely. I'm going to do the same with the other 2. Make sure I've got them the right way up. There we go. Plenty of glue, and plenty of glue, and we'll put another sweetie in there. Oops. Now if you want to make one that hangs up like this, here is where you want a piece of thread. I've used red thread on here, but you could use gold or whatever colour you like. So if you want to make a hanging version, this is when you put the thread in. So we're going to take 1/2, and you're going to put the thread coming from here, make it quite a long piece because you've got to get over the candle, a long piece, and stick it into here. Okay, so you would stick it in at this point, but I'm not going to put a hanging thread on here, so I'm just going to glue my 2 halves together. So plenty of glue on here. Oops. And plenty of glue on here. And then we're going to put in the final 2 sweeties. So one there, and one there. And then this goes, actually I want a bit more glue on there, I think. More glue! If in doubt, more glue. Squish that all down. Well, it's not very well aligned there, is it? Never mind. Okay, and there we go. There is our Christingle with all of its 8. 2 of those are slightly stuck together. There we go. With its 8 leaves. That's great, isn't it? Final thing we need to do is to put the candle in the top. So we're just going to grab the candle. We're just going to put loads of glue around the bottom. Loads of glue. And we're just going to smush it down into that gap in the middle at the top up here. So we just kind of ease those apart slightly, and you'll find a little gap, and you can just stuff the candle in there. Stuff it in and squish it all together. There we go. Now if you want this to stand up, which I do, we're just going to trim a little bit off the bottom, just a smidge, just to make it flat. There we go. And then your Christingle will stand up, with the orange to represent the world and all the people who live there, the red band to remind us that it's God's gift to us, but we have kind of messed it up, the 4 sweets to remind us of God's good gifts to us throughout all time and all space, and finally the candle on the top, Jesus, the light of the world.